Welcome to this episode of our program, Daily Debate. As usual, we will be discussing an important debate. Today we'll be speaking or highlighting how the Egyptian economy has withstood many of the internal and external shocks and crises that has almost emerged and has reflected on the economies of most of the world. We'll be highlighting how Egypt's adopting several reform programs has reflected on how it confronted the repercussions of the COVID-19 and the reform program that it has adopted in order to be able to give it a kind of life breath in order to confront all those circumstances. We'll be speaking about the macroeconomic and structural reforms that stabilized the economy and have allowed the country to enter into another phase. We'll be speaking about how Egypt has worked in parallel in demonstrating the capabilities and invest in the human richness and human resources. One of its real richness and definitely one of its resources towards a better economy. We'll be speaking about that and more with our dear guest, Dr. Hussein Shoreibah, planning and development expert. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have a quick look on the top stories of the day. And President Abdel Fattah AlSissi held talks with his Tanzanian counterpart Samia Suluhu Hassan at the Al-Ittihadiyya Palace, which was followed by a joint press conference. As AlSissi expressed Egypt's readiness to enhance economic relations with Tanzania in various domains, pointing at Egypt's keenness to support Tanzania's regional developmental demands, notably infrastructure, health and agriculture, adding that preparations are underway to hold a joint committee. The head of state said such target can be realized through expanding investments of Egyptian specialized companies in addition to training and scholarships offered by Egypt to Tanzania to contribute in building capabilities. He pointed out that the two countries share common visions regarding regional issues. On Ethiopia Dam, President Sisi stressed the importance of the sensitive and vital water file to Egypt being a national security issue. He insisted that Egypt abides by its water rights and works to reach a legal framework to fill and operate the dam in accordance to international law and the UN Security Council resolutions which aim to achieve peace and security in the whole region and realize interests of all parties. On her part, the Tanzanian president said she has discussed with President Sisi a number of African security and defense issues as she commended Tanzanian distinguished ties with Egypt, noting that her country seeks Cairo's assistance for development in all fields. The Tanzanian president also said joint military drill would expand in future, adding that the two sides cooperate to confront terrorism. President Hassan said the GDP in Tanzania would grow with 4.5% this year, referring to the dams project held by Egyptian hands, which represent one of Tanzanian national projects. And moving on to our next top story of the day, and President Abdel Fattah AlSissi expressed pleasure after meeting Jordan's Crown Prince Hussein bin Abdullah in his first visit to Egypt. On his official account on the social media, the head of state said the meeting focused on means of bolstering bilateral relations and tackled a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. President Sisi praised the distinguished ties with Jordan and wished the Jordanian prince success in the future. And to our third top story of the day, and First Lady Mrs. Intisar AlSissi visited the Shamma village in Munufiyya Governorate on Wednesday to follow up on the heritage exhibition of women's handicrafts. She inspected the Decent Life medical convoy, where she met with volunteers in the initiative and was briefed on their achievements. Village residents expressed pleasure for the First Lady's visit and voiced appreciation for the initiative's activities in Shamma. to our topic of the day, and here is the first report before we delve into our discussion. Egypt's economic reform backed national economy in face of challenges. Let's watch.
Since President Fattah AlSissi assumed the post 7 years ago, the economic sector in Egypt managed to achieve consecutive successful achievements that were highly praised by international rating agencies. Those achievements caused an increase in foreign investment flows and economic growth rates and were sensed by simple Egyptian citizens despite current challenges to the global economy, mainly the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. Egypt's economy managed to achieve positive indicators during the peak of the coronavirus crisis and was highly lauded by international economic institutions because the economic reforms the government adopted before the crisis earned the national economy a great deal of flexibility to address both internal and external shocks. Finance Minister Mohammed Maid said his ministry seeks to preserve the gains of the first stage of the National Economic Reforms Program, address points of economic weakness, and create new jobs through diversifying production and improving the business and investment climate. Maid added that Egypt seeks to strengthen industries, increase exports, raise the economy's ability to absorb internal and external shocks, and turn the national economy into a productive one to be able to compete with global economies. He reiterated the ministry's keenness on going ahead with economic reforms, rearranging priorities of public spending, increasing funds allocated to human development programs, pumping more investments to improve public services, and turning to green economy to rationalize spending and improve public funds management. Going through international institutions' positive evaluation of national economy amid the coronavirus crisis, a latest report by the IMF expected the national economy to grow by 5.5% this fiscal year and to rise to 8.5% in 2024-2025. Surplus of GDP is likely to increase to 2%, according to the IMF. The Economist magazine also issued a report expecting a 5.7% growth rate for the Egyptian economy in 2024 and a 1.5% decline of the deficit in the GDP in 2025. Egypt is likely to become among the top 10 economies worldwide in 2023, with GDP rates climbing from the 21st position globally to the 7th one. Also, Fitch rating agency expected in its latest report that the Egyptian economy will achieve a 3% growth rate this year, despite a decline in tourism flows and world trade due to the spread of the coronavirus. Moody's Investors Service also kept Egypt's credit rating at B2 with a stable outlook, a move that reflects the diversity and resilience of the Egyptian economy, improvement in the performance of state institutions, high flexibility of the banking sector, and a strong funding structure. Over the past 7 years, the Finance Ministry succeeded in achieving tangible economic and financial successes, including lowering the budget deficit, achieving a surplus in trade balance, and bringing down annual inflation rates from 23% in 2016 to 4.5% in March 2021. Government debt to GDP declined by 20% over 3 years, while foreign cash reserves jumped to $40 billion in April, covering service and commodity imports for 7 months. Unemployment went down to 7.2% from 13.3% in 2013. In earlier statements, Maid said Egypt took big strides over the past 2 years in developing and digitizing taxes and customs mechanisms to stimulate investments by simplifying procedures and merging the non-official economy into the official one. The first phase of the unified automated tax system was launched at the centers of large and middle financiers and senior liberal professions.
Well, welcome back, and indeed Egypt on the path of partnership and development. And let me welcome again our guest, Dr. Hussein Shoreibah, planning and development expert. Thank you again for being with us. So I'll start from Egypt being able to withstand all the internal and external shocks economic shocks that has been passing internally and externally. And until 2020, we achieved a kind of quantum leap in its economy right before the coronavirus. Tell me the measures that Egypt has been taking and this very strict economic reform Egypt has passed by.
First of all, when you start managing a country, big country like Egypt, you have to know you have a big issue. It's not a small one. The economy was shaking worldwide. The COVID-19 have destroyed lots of things. Here in Egypt, it was going on a very simple way. The government took it seriously, and the people were half seriously, half suspicion. But the government have taken it from first day serious.
Even before the coronavirus, or let me say that we had this life breath because of the measures that were taken even before the coronavirus that led us to such a situation.
I believe the Egyptians have recognized the difference of today than before. When I say before, I say starting from 1952 until 2014. 2014, it reminds me with the time of 1805. This is Muhammad Ali. This is the beginning of revolution of better life in Egypt. So 1805 and 2014, both of them, they are done. It's measured for the sake of the people, for the benefit of everyone, from A to Z. I want you to watch what is surrounding us. As from the west side, we have a problem in Libya. From downside, you can see what's going on. And if you look to the other bank of in front, that we have in Sinai, we have problems of in Palestine and in Gaza, and we have some terrorists. We had lots of headaches. When you have your country with all these problems, plus you add the COVID-19, you have a chaos.
Yes.
So how this happened and how it was cured and how it was benefited for the sake of every tiny person in Egypt, from east to west and south to north. Not in Cairo. It's not in Cairo at all. It is everywhere. Everybody have touched it. First of all, I saw the government with the army are trying to assist in every aspect, whether it's healthcare, whether it is education, whether spreading out the truth to the people and telling them what we standing for, who is surrounding us, what is the problem of surrounding us, how can we get foreign currency and strengthen our currency while it is down. All these things, the signal of Suez Canal give me the indication that yes, this government is working and working hard. When I found 66 billion Egyptian pounds was counted and in the bank, no more than 5 days, it was there fully. This is show that the people are having confidence with the president and the government, and they know that they are going on the right target. This is number one. When you have this confidence from the people, you're going to ask them, this is our plan, the future plan, our plan we should do. We did suffer. We didn't get it easy like this. We did suffer. But with this suffering, the people are every day, they are touching something new. Like what? You had expanding the new Cairo and making the new capital and making it bigger than Dubai itself. This is one. Everybody was asking, why we do have this? No. Today, everyone is keen to have a house there. The second thing, everybody is asking, why do we have a speed train? Right now, they are eager to see it.
It only limits the limits between Sukhna or the Red Sea to the Mediterranean 2 hours, right, or even less.
From Cairo to Saloum, which is the last city in.
Yes.
It would take about 2 hours. The
other side also 2
yes.
hours.
When you talk about electricity, which was up and down, and it was cut, today is what? You are exporting this to other countries. What about
6 power stations?
Yes.
Power stations
completely
done with the highest technologies in participation with Germany. Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
What about revaluing your wealth? We did have a very good approach with Greece and Cyprus. And we did finalize where is our border and their borders.
Maritime borders, yes, indeed.
Not only this, we found gas, and we are giving Europe right now. Come on. This is, every one of us is watching what is the government is doing today with the president vision. The whole team with the president plus the government are doing an excellent work. This goes without saying. The other thing which I really admire with, the president took a very important issue, which is what? Raised the capability of our human beings and the luxury of this.
This we want to focus on because this was, in parallel. Things went in parallel in both sides. I mean, here the mega projects were being made, yes, and initiatives to fulfill the aspiration of the citizens, including many of the initiatives for the welfare of citizens, including Hayat Karima, Takaful and Karaman, and many other initiatives we're speaking about here. But before I move to this, because this in itself is a big file. But before, let me say that just last week, the president has announced the lifting of the state of emergency, which means that we are really in stable territory. But this was the message that we wanted to send to the whole world, and that is not only announced by us, but also through the international agencies. And if I take this in numbers, I have here the International Monetary Fund that expects the national economy of Egypt to grow 5.5% this fiscal year and to rise 8.5% in 2024 to 2025. This is according to the IMF. According to the Economist magazine, and it says that it expects a 5.7% growth rate of the Egyptian economy in 2024 and a 1.5% decline of the deficit in the gross domestic product, the GDP, in 2025. Here I have also the Fitch rating, for an instance. It said that the Egyptian economy will achieve a 3% growth rate this year despite a decline in tourism flows. and world trade due to the spread of the coronavirus. Let me, and still there are the Moody, there is other world agencies who expect the Egyptian economy to grow by a certain percentage that we really did not expect, and the whole world even are not reaching such a number. We're speaking here about an enormous work that has been done to be able to achieve such a situation. If I may ask you, what does the, or how does those reports by world agencies reflect about the Egyptian market and about the confidence, or how does this boost the confidence of the Egyptian market?
The transparency. The very simple thing. The government was very transparent, and the president was very open, and everything was there in front of them. And this is one of the important things they showed to the people there. Let me bring more to your attention. In 2030, Egypt is number 5 worldwide in investment, and the big countries who would like to, let's say, want to invest or want to, big economies. This is the 5 big economies. Egypt is number 5. Can you imagine? In 2030, how can, this is the estimated figures leading you to this number, 2030. You will be like this. You will be the top 5 countries in the economy, worldwide. Do you know this?
No.
Yes. This is
I hope.
Egypt. No. This is true. This is Egypt. 2030, Egypt is number 5. Not Singapore, Malaysia is number 4. Number 1 is China. Number 2 is US.
Really?
Yes.
That if things go smoothly as we expect.
And Russia is number 3. I want you to know that the economy is moving very fast than you can imagine. And I think with the way that the president is moving on, and the chosen governments, we are going to go faster than this. I want you to bear in mind that the development of lots of sections, and especially in Suez Canal, in tourism, in industrial things, in agribusiness, in the water problem which we have, we don't have this problem as physically right now today, because we are maximizing
the use of water.
the use of the water.
Rationalizing the use of
Yes.
water. Yes, indeed.
So when you found all these elements and your resources are taken care, and you are not selling anything, when you don't sell raw materials today, you sell it after, not before. Before, the barrel is $1, after it's 1,000. So the big difference is going on. I want you to know that the vaccine, the simple thing, we don't import vaccines. We manufacture them here in Egypt, and we are giving Africa the vaccines. This is a sign to everyone worldwide with the COVID-19.
But let me here just say, for the credibility, we are doing that in partnership with China.
Of course.
Yes.
But where is it done? It's done
It's
in
Egypt, indeed, where China does not do that with anyone in the world, except if there is big trust and big confidence.
Yes.
Before I move on, because we have 2 important files,
Okay.
the sectors that you've been speaking about in the development in such sectors, and the investment in human
Resource.
capabilities, indeed. But before we move on with this, let me here take our second report. And Egypt's real GDP growth to reach 5.4% in 2022. This is according to the Arab Monetary Fund. Let's watch.
Egypt's real GDP growth is projected to reach 5.4% in 2022 on condition of the global economy's recovery, which would strengthen tourism and the external demand in the country, according to the Arab Economic Prospects report issued recently by the Arab Monetary Fund, known as the AMF. The health crisis caused by the pandemic outbreak has not hindered Egypt's economic growth. Egypt was an exceptional model globally to attain a positive growth in 2020, amid the first wave of the pandemic, and 3.6% despite the negative implications of the crisis. The report attributed this performance to the country's continuous economic reforms that boosted the economy's flexibility and resilience towards shocks, in addition to the incentives packages that Egypt has adopted with the objective of rejuvenating local demand. Moreover, Egypt did not impose a full lockdown, which has been boosting Egypt's real GDP positive growth, according to the report. It also noted that the return of direct flights to the country and expansion of vaccinations is contributing to the recovery of Egypt's tourism sector. Egypt's ongoing second wave of reforms, which focus on structural reforms, are also expected to drive the country's economic growth in 2022 and over the medium term, according to the report. It classifies Egypt as an oil-importing country. For the oil-importing countries group, the report projects its real GDP growth to increase to 4.6% in 2022, up from 2.5% attained in 2021. This increase will be supported mainly by external demand recovery and the rebound of trade activities, particularly trade, tourism and investment, due to increased vaccination. On the Arab level, the report expected Arab countries' real GDP growth to jump to 5.2% in 2022, up from 2.7% recorded in 2021, driven mainly by the projected increase in oil production in the frame of OPEC Plus deal.
Right, welcome back, and back to you, Dr. Hussein. And we were speaking about several sectors that has shown progress, lots of developmental projects, lots of sectors that have been developed, the infrastructure, the new cities that has emerged. We're not speaking about the new administrative city, but we're speaking about 20 new cities. We're also speaking about mega projects in different sectors, the agro, as you said, respectively here, the fisheries, agriculture even, so a kind of boost. Now, Egypt has done this, but also it has done this in partnership with several world bodies and states. And that was definitely because of the confidence those organizations and what states have felt towards the Egyptian measures that is taken. Let me here take or have your take on working or how Egypt working with international bodies has reflected on the Egyptian performance, and where are we going to with those mega projects? Because sometimes people would really want to ask, are mega projects enough? How are we trying to put a kind of integrated plan in order to have the informal sector into the formal one? How are we trying to boost the industrial sector? Because definitely more than 65% of world economies depend on this on the industrial sector plus the informal sectors. So how has Egypt, or what were the measures that Egypt has been taking in order to work with international bodies, encourage the private sector work on boosting the industrial
First of all, you have to convince someone to invest with you. How can you convince someone to invest with you? You have to have tools. These tools, number one, it is your location. Egypt location, whether it is very close to Europe, very close to Africa, very close to the Gulf area and the Arab countries. So location is number one, so nobody can compete with us, plus we have the Suez Canal in it. The second thing, you have 100 million. The population of Egypt, most of these people are skillful and very educated personnel, but they need to be adjusted according to the new standards, because every day there is a standard and there is another way that you should do or apply or fix something with different ways. So the government is doing this and promoting this, and that's an important, this is the human capability, important thing. That's one of the good things they are doing it. We do have some of these raw materials inside Egypt, so you're not exporting this. So you would convince the investor, yes, we do have the raw materials and you can go with us. So you have manpower, you have this, and in addition to all these things, they always either give the land for a time lease with a very cheap rate, or they go partnership with the foreigner to go and invest. And the very simple example for us is Germany. When you found they came over here and they put the biggest power here in Egypt. So it is over than 5 billion euros. So you're talking about a huge project. When you maximize all your efforts in these sectors, when you go and apply to anyone and say to him, would you like to invest and get a return? Because the return of investment in Europe, it could be something like 1% or less. If you go to the Far East, it's similar or less. You go to America, it is less than the 1%. So where is the country is going to give you 2 or 3%? Because
and to which reason do you attribute that? I mean, here, are we a booming market? Are we a country with many potentials? Do we have chances and opportunities, enormous chances and opportunities for
the products is yours. You're going to use them. At least you're going to use 50% of any product that's going to come up. So the other 50% it's going to be sold in no time anywhere, whether Europe or Africa or the Gulf area. The very simple thing, you will find that today we are giving our agribusiness to most of the countries in the Gulf area. The number have exceeded something like more than 1.5 billion. So when you found that there is your location and your people, plus you can do it, the investor will always say, oh yeah, I will come. You need the textile, we'll go for textile. Why? Because he found that there is 100 million, every family would buy anything for the children. And you have 2 feasts. And he's recognizing all this. So clothes, yes, we will buy for clothes. We will go for it. We have done in logistic zones for materials which can come even from abroad to easy the manufacturing things in Egypt, like textile. When you get some kind of cotton or some kind of threads or some kind of wool or anything, and you add them to brands very well known, not in Egypt, but in Europe, in the States, in Asia. You have big brands over here in Egypt. Worldwide, international ones. You have them inside. Why do they have in Egypt? Because they have a market. They have people to buy it. I don't want to say brand because somebody will say I'm making advertising for it.
No, actually what we are speaking about here is that, yes, it's very good to have the big brands or the big brand names here
Why
in
big
Egypt.
brands is here?
But I mean, it would have been better if they bring their own companies and factories and make it here. So instead of and lessen even the imports issue. I mean, here we really are working and seeking to minimize our exports.
Can I tell you something?
Please
I went
do.
to the supermarket in the States. I don't want to say the name of it. I found our cheese, the Egyptian
Good.
cheese. No. I found the rice. Next time I'll bring the bag.
Please do.
Yeah. The bag says Egyptian rice from Egypt. I want you to know that your product, because it is went up to the standards. Who have done this? It is not clothes. There are clothes. It's Egyptian, made in Egypt, and it is sold in the States.
Yes, not just in the States, but Europe and any other countries
So
worldwide. Yes,
I want
know.
you to, we made brands, and it's international one. So when you have these brands and you have the international brands inside Egypt, and you want to go and manufacture this, whatever the brand name is, it is easy. Because they will find, first of all, market and raw materials and manpower.
Raw materials, because textile, exactly textile, which we need really to boost it.
This is, the president is seeking for
Indeed,
this.
indeed. And this is where we are speaking about
This is a master
boosting
key.
the industrial
Yes.
sector. Right, in parallel to the mega projects, in parallel to boosting the industrial sector and all this, the leadership and the government has been working also on the welfare of the citizen by or through many initiatives. Part of it is building
Housing.
cadres, in fact, in human resources, building cadres and capabilities of humans in order to be able to complete its vision for sustainable development, and at the same time make a decent life for all citizens so they can really contribute in the proper way. How do you find those initiatives that were made by the leadership? Because actually this time these were all presidential initiatives made for the
President,
people.
look, President Sisi, as I said, from day one, he have devoted himself for the sake of Egypt and the Egyptians. And he worked hard for this. And he had the confidence of the people in no time.
But I'm speaking about the initiatives themselves.
I know. If you say
And definitely
Haya Karima,
President Sisi
when you
has
talk about
done a
Haya
lot.
Karima and you talk about the way how he's handling the people, if I don't sleep in a right place, in a right way, in a right with my family, do you think I'm gonna work hard? I'm gonna do a right job? I'm gonna be accurate with myself, my people, and my government? No. But if I have a decent life, I have a decent house, I have all this, yes.
And I have a decent job, because a decent
Yes.
life makes life better and makes services better, health,
Absolutely.
education, jobs.
Yeah. Two countries, let me tell you very clearly, I'm not with this or that. Two countries in the Arab countries are taking care of especially these times, taking care of their people, Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Today, Saudi Arabia...
United Arab Emirates?
Huh?
The United Arab Emirates also?
This Emirates is before, but Saudi Arabia today, Mohammed bin Salman is taking care of every tiny thing for the sake of his people, as well as President Sisi. Both of them, they are doing for Saudi Arabia and Egypt to power, believe it or not. They are the two strengths of the Arab countries. Both of them, if they are not there, all these countries are not there.
Yes, definitely Egypt and Saudi Arabia, two regional powers with no doubt. If I may ask you, because I only have maybe 1 minute left for me here. How do you view the future of Egypt in this upcoming stage?
First of all, I want to tell everyone, a recession worldwide is going to go up the coming year and the year after. Don't worry about it. It will go down. So when you found that the barrel of the oil barrel is going to exceed by January 110 US dollars.
The oil?
Yes. It is not a problem. The problem, we have to maximize our way of using the materials. So the moment you are using your materials and lowering this and doing a better way, these prices will go down.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Hussein Shoreibah, Planning and Development Expert, thank you so much for being with us. And dear viewers, many thanks for watching. And tomorrow would be another debate with another colleague. Good night.